welcome to the Mulligan Guide for Gwent, the Witcher card game. If recent research by players is correct, the Gwent Mulligan system has a high mulligan and blacklist bias. Mulligan net cards have a higher chance of landing in the top of the deck as do blacklisted duplicates. Ultimately, we don't really know how the Mulligan system is designed. We could only know if the designers decided to share, which is not likely. Today, we will take a variation of a deck from the current March 2018 meta. If you are watching this in the future and the Imlerith Sabbath card has rotated out of standard or was never included and constructed at release, you can feel nostalgia for a simpler time just as I do when I recall the closed beta in which weather, now a hazard like biting frost affected both rows and reduced the power of units to 1, making them vulnerable to lacerate. The good old days. At its core, this is a weather deck, which runs 3 Wild Hunt Hounds, a unit that spawns, draws from the deck and plays Biting Frost. It necessitates the inclusion of an equal amount of cards of this particular hazard. However, 1 out of the 3 cards in the 25 card deck is likely to show up in the initial draw. Let's see how the Mulligan system can be used to give the player an advantage. During the initial card draw, the player can mulligan a maximum of 3 cards. In the second round, 2 cards are drawn and another card is drawn in the third. The odds of drawing a mulligan card in the second round, or in other words, the odds that a mulligan card is the first one in the deck, is around 43.1%. The odds that the first mulligan card is the first card in the deck is 25%, while the odds that the card mulligan third in the sequence is the first one in the deck is only 6.67%. Mulligan the card last if you don't want it again this game. This might be a better choice for a card like Biting Frost, or Moonlight if the deck includes Sirens. These units spawn Moonlight from the deck. Be aware that since the second card is mulliganed in a similar way to the first card, this won't work if only 2 cards are chosen. In order to decrease the chance of seeing a card at all to a minimum, the player must mulligan 3 cards. This might not be worth it if a 2-card mulligan is enough to provide one with a decent hand. This means the player should mulligan a card first when planning to spawn, or play it directly from the deck or doesn't mind seeing it drawn in the second round. If you plan to use Bitter Frost in the first round, this might be a good choice here. If you plan to spawn or play a card directly from the deck in the first round, then be sure to mulligan it first. Blue Stripes Commando, a Foglet, or a Silver Vizimir exemplify potential targets. Unfortunately, mulliganing a card early blacklists all copies of it. They cannot be drawn during this mulligan phase, but they might be left at the top of the deck, which means they might return in the second round. Now you know how to mulligan in Gwent, the Witcher card game, and knowing is half the battle. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and shout out to Sir Swag for inspiring this video.